Welcome. In this explainer, we're going to break down what it really takes to build an ESG investment strategy that holds up, moving past the buzzwords to what actually matters: integrity.
So, let's dive right in with a pretty fundamental question, one that every single sustainability professional has to grapple with. In today's market, the line between authentic impact and just clever marketing can get, well, incredibly blurry.
And that blurriness, it leads us directly to the biggest challenge in the industry right now, the greenwashing dilemma. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot, for sure, but its implications are serious. We're talking about stuff that affects everything from investor trust all the way to real-world environmental outcomes. Now, the International Organization of Securities Commissions, that's ISCO, they give us a really clear definition. See, it's not just about telling outright lies. It can be way more subtle, like using misleading terms or making these vague commitments that sound fantastic but have zero substance. And like the slide says, this can pop up anywhere along the investment chain. To see how this plays out in the real world, you really can't find a better case study than the Volkswagen emission scandal. It is still one of the most glaring examples of a corporate claim being completely, and I mean completely, disconnected from reality. So, on the surface, Volkswagen poured millions into this massive marketing campaign. They were positioning themselves as the leader in clean diesel tech. They sold this incredible story of environmental responsibility, and people bought into it, thinking they were making a greener choice for their family. But the reality, well, it was a deliberate, calculated deception. They created something called a defeat device, basically just a piece of software, and it had one purpose: to cheat. So when you were just driving around normally, these eco-friendly cars were actually pumping out nitrogen oxides at up to 40 times the legal limit. Just staggering. And the price for that deception? A jaw-dropping $4.3 billion criminal fine. And that was just from the U.S. Department of Justice. It's a perfect illustration of the massive financial and reputational disaster that can happen when ESG claims are nothing more than a thin facade. Okay. So the crucial takeaway here is that preventing this kind of thing starts with true alignment. One size does not fit all when it comes to ESG. A successful and, more importantly, an honest strategy has to be tailored to the specific needs, the values, and the motivations of different clients. And this table here demonstrates that diversity perfectly. You have institutional investors, right? They're often driven by regulations and managing reputational risk, so they're going to lean towards deep ESG integration. Then you have retail investors who might be more focused on their personal values, which leads them to things like thematic or impact funds. And of course, private clients often use negative screening to align their portfolios with the legacy they want to leave. But look, a tailored mandate is really just the beginning. The next critical piece of the puzzle is monitoring. How do you make sure the asset manager is actually delivering on what they promised? This quote from the source material really gets to the heart of it. So much of the disconnect, what we sometimes call the agency problem, it all comes down to time horizons. Clients are often thinking in decades, but managers might be focused on the next quarter's performance. Real accountability means you have to bridge that gap. And that means you have to implement a structured monitoring process. And this isn't just about financial returns. It starts with regular meetings, of course. But the key thing is that these discussions have to measure progress against those specific ESG objectives that were agreed upon right at the very beginning. Effective monitoring is only as good as the information it's built on. And that brings us to reporting. That's the crucial step where aspiration is either proven or, well, it's exposed. It's the bridge between what a manager says they're doing and the client's peace of mind.
And believe me, there is a massive difference in reporting quality. Weak reporting is just full of vague themes. It might tell you, how many meetings they held. That's an input. But it won't tell you what those meetings actually achieved. Strong reporting, on the other hand, is built on data. It gives you verifiable proof of how ESG is integrated, it uses key performance indicators, or KPIs, and it focuses on real, tangible outcomes.
So let's bring all of this together. We've looked at the problem, and we've looked at the key parts of the solution. So now, let's put it all into a clear framework, a set of principles for ensuring genuine, lasting integrity in any ESG strategy.
These 4 principles, they create this really powerful feedback loop. It all starts with just acknowledging the fundamental challenge. Then, you proactively align those time horizons and incentives. Next, you enforce that alignment with rigorous monitoring. And finally, you demand transparent, outcome-focused reporting as proof. You see? Each step reinforces the others, and together they build a foundation of trust and accountability.
And that leaves us with a final thought to take away from all this. Once all the processes are in place, right, the mandates are signed, the reports are delivered, the ultimate question still remains. Beyond all the paperwork, how do we make sure that the spirit of the commitment, not just the letter of the law, is being honored? That right there is the real measure of integrity.